Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.
Step back, call game like Dame. Now they all know a name. Crossover, then go straight to the hezzy. I'ma dunk it like Denny. Small market, yeah, we making it big. Now we got too many cameras. Clinging on guards like Drew. You can't even move, ain't nobody stopping us. Rip City Turner, we making some noise. Pass to the present, we get it like Roy. More to be rockin', we bringing the force. Gang with a dime, that's a bucket, of course. If straight and bout a dunk, you gotta move. Young and still hustling like Scoop. Come and tap in, see what's new. Blazers Uprise on the crew.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise postgame show presented by Sleeper. Today, the Portland Trail Blazers get back to 500 with a 117-110 win over the Sacramento Kings, moving them to 22-22 on the season. This is the first time the Blazers have been at 500 in the second half of a season, I believe since 2021. Somebody will have to fact check that for me. But it's nice to be back at 500. It's nice to go into Sacramento and get a win, considering the Blazers were very shorthanded in this game. No Drew Holiday, no Jeremy Grant, no Robert Williams, all three not playing due to this being the second night of a back-to-back. But we got the return of Deni Avdija, who looked like he didn't miss a beat. He scores 30 points in his return to action, has 8 assists, 8 rebounds, leads the Blazers to a somewhat comfortable win. This was at least more comfortable than the last two Kings games where it looked like the Blazers were going to choke. And even this one, it looked like the Blazers might choke. What was a double-digit lead? The Kings cut it to 5 down the stretch, but the Blazers once again controlled the second half of a basketball game. They've been doing that a little bit lately, which is new. I could get used to this, man. These are been some comfortable victories that the team has been able to get lately, and now they're finally back to 500, which is awesome to say. Eric, what's going on, man? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Blazers win, so it's always a good day. But, man, it was so nice to see Deni back. He was absolutely cooking in that first quarter. I think he had 15 in his first stint there. And, yeah, he was doing everything out there. They kind of slowed him down in the second half. I think he had 20 at halftime, so only 10 in the second half. But man, it was so good to have him back. That a couple of those passes he had to Klingon were amazing. And speaking of Klingon, peep how many minutes that dude played tonight.
I have not looked yet. Let me look.
Look how many minutes Donovan Klingon played tonight.
Donovan Klingon played 37 minutes tonight.
37 minutes. Did I see him dying on the court after 30?
I don't know how he survived that, considering he can't play 30 minutes. He played 37.
On the second night of a back-to-back, too. Yeah. I forgot how many minutes he played last night. But, no Robert Williams tonight. So... man, shout out to Donovan for battling through that. Young was he had a good couple plays with the little hook shot and a steal off a Kings fast break, but other than that, he was fouling a lot and pretty unplayable. So Donovan pretty much had to take that upon himself to play, and he really stepped up tonight. And between the two of them, man, what a performance by this Blazers. Once again, having a good game on the second night of a back-to-back. And I know it got a little rough there at the end, but overall, I thought this was a really good win once again, and a lot of players contributed. Once again, people stepping up when they have to.
Yeah, last night I was worried about the Blazers potentially punting this game, and I guess you're never truly punting a game against the Sacramento Kings with how bad they've been this season. Or I guess if you are punting, they're always prone to dropping the catch as the punt returner type of thing. Maybe you'll recover a fumble. Like you could put out Javonte Cook in the starting lineup, and maybe you could beat this team. They have been playing better basketball lately, though, so I was a little bit worried about punting this game, resting Drew, resting Jeremy, resting Robert Williams, and then we didn't know that Deni was going to return, but I speculated last night that Deni didn't play last night because he was going to play this game, considering Drew and Jeremy were unlikely to play on the second night of a back-to-back. That's exactly what happened, and, this is the Sacramento Kings, but the Blazers, once again, shorthanded, do what they were supposed to do. Actually, I checked last night. They were 2.5-point underdogs. I don't know if that's because Denny, his status was up in the air. But, this was pretty much a toss-up.
The Kings had won 4 in a row coming into this one. They had beat the Rockets at full strength and stuff, so they had been playing better recently.
Yeah, they've been playing better basketball recently, so this wasn't necessarily a game that the Blazers were favored in, and they won pretty comfortably in this one. And this was just a huge win just to get back to 500. I know it's just one game, but it would have been a big letdown if we were one game away from 500 and then lost to the Sacramento Kings, despite how well they've been playing lately. So to go into Sacramento, take care of business, and finally get back to 500, to be 500, 44 games into the season is awesome. And I think this team goes 500 this year. At this point, their schedule is easier the rest of the season. They should be healthier. So the fact that they were able to go 500 the first 44 games this year is an awesome accomplishment. But, man, they're just on a roll. They've won 10 out of 13 games. They've won 8 out of their last 10. That's at least tied for the best mark in the NBA. So you could make the argument they're playing like one of the best teams in the NBA right now, despite guys being shuffled in and out of the lineup, despite guys missing time to injury or playing back from some injury issues like Denny did today, like Drew Holiday and Jeremy Grant have been doing. You have games where anybody steps up. You've had games where Ryan Rupert has stepped up. You've had games where City Sissoko has stepped up. Caleb Love continues to play solid basketball off the bench. And then you have games like tonight where Donovan Clingan plays 37 minutes, and he was fantastic tonight. I think he deserves a shot at player of the game. I'll make that poll in the live chat here in a second because I do think this is going to be a competitive player of the game poll. Right? At least I think it should be. We'll see if Denny runs away with it like he's run away with so many polls this year. But you've just had a number of guys that have stepped up on any given night, and that's what's been fun to watch this Blazer team with lately is when Denny's out there, he's going to provide some things. When Shaden's out there lately, like, you can trust on him to get you at least 20 points. And today Shaden had 27 points. He was 8 for 19. He got to the line 11 times, made 8 free throws. That's kind of new for Shaden. But those guys have been contributing. Tamani's been up and down. He was great tonight. He did not miss a shot from the field, was 7 for 7. Only had 1 turnover in 36 minutes. So your starter stepped up in today's game. It wasn't really like the bench mob that we had seen of the games prior. Caleb Love, this was maybe his worst game and maybe his worst game in like 15 games or so. He put together a really good 14-game stretch today. He was 3 for 10, 0 for 4 from the three-point line. The Blazers didn't really get much from their bench, but that's the thing is any given night, it could be guys off the bench stepping up if the starters don't have it going. Tonight, it was the Blazers' best 4 players looking like the best 4 players on the floor and taking care of business.
Yeah, like you mentioned, the bench, Sacramento's bench did outplay us tonight. But they're bringing DeMontis, who's the starter, off their bench, and Cardwell's he's active. We'll say that. So he's just like a hustle player. And then Malik Monk, who hasn't gotten much of an opportunity all season, comes in and just starts firing from 3. Kept the Kings in the game in the first half. So their bench helped them out. This is the first time in a while that the Blazers bench didn't really help them a ton. With Caleb in particular, I thought he had some really nice plays in this game. A couple of floaters or push shots, a couple of nice 2-point shots, and then a couple of nice passes. But there was a point in the game where it went back to him and Shaden being a little too one-on-one heavy. And that's when we almost kind of lost control of this game. That's what they've gone away from a lot lately. They've played more team basketball, and it's led to getting better shots. And I think if the coaching staff looks at this game as a whole, they'll see when those guys tried to go one-on-one and just try to take over without passing the ball, it didn't lead to as much success as when we're driving to look for other guys, and that was really working tonight. You mentioned Tamani. It's crazy, only shooting 1 3 in a game. Like, I wonder, I know we only shot, 4 last game or something. But short of being in like severe foul trouble, he usually puts up a lot more 3-point shots lately than that. I'm trying to remember the last game he only shot one. But he had some great cuts in this game. And that's what's been missing, in my opinion, from his game this year a lot. We know he's got a catch and shoot 3-point heavy shot diet, but man, just get yourself going with some easy baskets sometimes. And you saw it with that play. Russell Westbrook was so fixated on what I think it was Denny, right, was going to do, that he just completely took his eyes off of Tamani. And those cuts are there down the baseline a lot. There was a couple other ones. Donovan threw one to repair. He threw it kind of low and behind him, so it didn't really work out. But those cuts are there a lot, and something we can exploit. And then there was a nice cut by Shea in the second half where he kind of went to the free throw line, and Denny found him, and he got a nice little easy 8-foot jumper for an assist for Denny. So I just thought the movement at points of this game was excellent and exactly what the Blazers need to be doing on offense. And at times it got a little away from them. They had some lineups where they really struggled. Even Lamar mentioned when the ball got knocked out of bounds that it might be a good thing because they could set up an out of bounds play to have some structure in their offense because nothing was happening. So I think this game was a microcosm of like the need for that ball movement, both with passing and off the ball cuts and stuff like that. And it really worked out well tonight.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Let's take a quick look at the team stats. This was not a game where the Blazers shot the ball well at all. They shoot 25% from three. Sacramento was 35%. Blazers made 3 less threes, shot 1 more. But they got to the line a ton. 33 free throw attempts to Sacramento's 18. Having Denny back helped with that, but Klingon had 8 attempts, same as Denny.
Made all of them.
Both those guys, 8 for 8 from the free throw line, which is awesome. Awesome for both those guys to knock down all 8 of their free throw attempts. And Shaedon gets 11 today. So it wasn't just Denny having a 15 or 16 free throw game like we've seen at times in the past. Sharp, I thought, did a better job of getting into the body of guys. Not like at the peak of his jump, because we know he does that, and he tried that twice late and missed 2 layups doing that.
Yeah.
Which were super tough layups, but I don't know. We'll talk about him a bit later, but I thought there's moments where he did a good job of seeking out contact on his drives a little bit more, creating a little bit more contact on his drives, and I do think that's part of the reason why he got a more favorable whistle today than maybe he's gotten all season long. So good job for the Blazers getting to the free throw line, but let's look at the 3 key stats, Eric. Offensive rebounds, turnovers, fouls. There's a reason why I keep bringing up these 3 key stats. Offensive rebound battle, the Blazers win by 1. Turnover battle, the Blazers win by 1. Fouls, the Kings foul 8 more times, the Blazers shoot 15 more free throws.
It didn't look like it was headed that way. I think it was the first quarter where the Blazers got into the penalty early. And then Javonte Cook came in and was doing what we were telling City Sissoko not to do early in the season. That was like way too aggressive. I thought he was going to get called for a couple of silly fouls and send them to the line for easy points. But somehow the refs didn't call it, and we got away with it. And then it kind of flipped in the second half. In the third quarter and fourth quarter, we got in the penalty or in the bonus both quarters with over 6 minutes left. And that really helped with our ability to get to the free throw line with getting them into foul trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you shoot 25% from 3 and you win comfortably. Well, somewhat comfortably. You made it a little close at the end, but you're up as much as 14. You lead 85% of the game. And they weren't too 3-point reliant. We've seen games where they shoot badly from 3, but lose or make it closer than maybe it needs to be because they take half of their shots from 3. Today they shot 51 twos, 32 threes. They had 62 points in the paint. The Kings with a undrafted rookie center that's starting, and then Domantas Sabonis coming back off a injury, and they're not a good defensive team, the last thing you wanted to do if you were the Blazers is bail them out by shooting a bunch of threes that you miss. They needed to attack this team, even with the guys they were missing. Sharp, Denny, Caleb Love, just like the attitude from these guys. Sissoko, for Sissoko and Love, they didn't have efficient nights, but I do think they did a good job of attacking. You look at Tamani Kamara, he only shoots 1 3 in 36 minutes. He shoots 7 shots. He's 6 for 6 inside the arc. I think that's the perfect embodiment of the way the Blazers attack today is they don't have good rim protection. They have as I said, an undrafted rookie center and Sabonis, who's not known as a rim protector, who is coming back off an injury. They don't have the ability to protect the rim, and they don't have good point of attack defenders either. And the Blazers took advantage of that. Earlier in the season, I talked about how the Blazers need to do a better job going into games just attacking the weakness of opponents and playing to their own strengths. The weakness of the Kings is their ability to stop dribble penetration than their ability to protect the rim. They're one of the worst defenses in the league, and the Blazers played to that weakness today. It's what made this a win for them. 62 points in the paint. They didn't need to shoot the ball well from 3. They got fouled a ton because when you can't defend, when you can't keep guys in front and you don't have much rim protection, you got to try and make up for that with some physicality, and that's the reason why the Blazers were able to get to the free throw line 33 times, and then you make 29 of your 33 free throws, 88%. You don't leave points at the line there. That could have made this an interesting game down the stretch. It's always fun when the Blazers make a bunch of threes and maybe win a game like this by 15 to 20 points. But I think there's something to be said about the way the Blazers won this game, the way the Blazers attacked in this game. Obviously, having Denny back helped, but I just love the attitude offensively. I loved a lot of the cuts that you were talking about. It's still a little bit spotty, but I think they are consistently improving offensively in terms of finding the right cutting lanes and making those passes. The play that you brought up from Sharp was a great example because that was more so just reading the way the defense was overloading the strong side of the floor against Denny and then Sharp cutting to the mid-range, getting a floater off. So they're playing smarter offense as well. And that's the thing is that's why I always hate the excuse when you sit here in the post-game press conference and say, we just didn't make shots. Essentially, what can we do? When Tiago said that, when Chauncey Billups said that, when Terry Stotts said that, that always drove me crazy because you could have easily sat here and shot 53s if you wanted to and lost this game and said, man, we just didn't make threes. But no, you attacked them, you got to the line, you got to the paint, you cut, you made the right pass all game long. So I think the Blazers are doing a better job of that, and it's why they've won so many games lately.
Yeah, it seems so simple, but it's just finding the holes in the defense if you're off ball. And it's slowly gotten better, and it's led to the Blazers offense slowly getting better too. And I don't know what their net rating or offensive defensive rating splits are like month by month, but it feels like the offense is starting to creep up to that being average range, and which is what we expected, coming into the season, is for it just to be average. And then the defense, if it continues to get pushed up a little bit, I don't think they're going to be top 10 with how bad they've been on defense at times, but as close as they can get to that, they're just having a lot of success on both ends lately, and it's gotten better as the season's gone on. I saw someone in chat say, does Tiago deserve some credit for just like the way he's navigated this whole season so far? And I think he does. I still don't know like how much X's and O's wise or like a head coach for the future. I think the jury's still out, and we have still, almost 40 games to figure that out. So that's, there's still a lot to be determined there, whether he'll be retained or he'll be a good head coach without the interim tag. But I do think that he was put in a really tough situation after one game being thrust into the head coaching role. And he has done a good job of keeping this team together through a lot of adversity, especially with the injuries and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me thank a couple donation/member messages here. Let me actually pull them up. That would be helpful for myself. Shout out to Monopo Man with a $3.50 donation. Says Blazers haven't had a record like this since 2021. Yeah, like I said in the intro, 2021 is the last time this team made the playoffs. This time of year, we're always starting to talk about tanking. It's nice to be talking about a team that has at least won as many games as they've lost, and we're not having the tanking conversations right now. We got the trade deadline about, is it 2.5 weeks?
Yeah.
Away? That's crazy. The trade deadline has snuck up on us. We've been so focused on talking about this team winning games lately. We haven't really discussed a whole lot of trades. So hopefully we'll have time to do that tonight. I'm going to try and go through the players a little bit quicker today so we can have some time to discuss the trade deadline that's coming up in 2.5 weeks. But thank you for the donation. Shout out to Blazers for Life for becoming a starter level member. Thank you. If you guys want to become a channel member, you can click the join button below the stream. And then shout out to Tristan with a $5 donation. Says, how about a timeout? How about after a timeout with 4 minutes left, the next two possessions was Kamara and Sharp playing patty cake and Denny ISO. Down the stretch there, things got a little bit weird. Thank you for the donation, Tristan. Down the stretch there, I don't want to say they played not to lose, but they were comfortable in a way. I don't think they were. I don't know. I don't really know what to make of the offense the last like 4 or 5 minutes. They made some plays. Yeah. They made some plays, which is why they won. But what were your thoughts on the final 5 minutes of that game? Because we've seen this team struggle to close out the Kings before, and while this didn't get as stressful or as dangerous as a couple of the games earlier this season against the Kings, it still wasn't necessarily the best 5-minute stretch of the game, so to say.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it at multiple points this year, even in non-clutch situations when defenses ramp up the pressure. It just there is an adjustment by Portland, and when it happens late in a game, they seem to fall apart a little bit or not know where they want to go on offense. And that indecisiveness does lead to a lot of wasted possessions. And like Tristan says, patty cake between like you take the ball, or someone dribbling till like 5 seconds in the shot clock and then passing back to City Sissoko, who has to do something in 4 seconds, like those aren't good possessions. So we have to find a way to be better in those situations. I think the answer is pretty simple. Keep giving the ball whenever there's pressure or double teams. Just give the ball to Clingan in the middle and let him operate, man. I know he missed the dunk on that where he tried to pack it tonight, but he's making such good decisions out of that role, and it's such an easy outlet. He's 7'2". You just throw it up there. He's wide open in the middle every freaking time. Like, just give him the ball, spread out with the other three guys, and have a cutter or two, and have someone spot up for a 3-point shot, and just operate your offense that way. Don't like clear out and have Denny or Shea go one-on-one all the time, because when they bring that extra pressure, they're kind of, if the call is for an ISO, like we kind of lose sight of what to do. The other guys they're kind of unsure whether to help or to think, oh, maybe he'll split this double team or whatever. So Lazy Panda says, do you want to give the ball to someone who's barely 60% at the line? I see your point there, but here's the thing. Donovan's making really quick decisions when he gets the ball there. His processing speed is really quick, and he's so open on those rolls that I don't think they can get to him in time if he makes a quick decision. And the Blazers, if they know ahead of time that they're going to Donovan in those situations.
Uh-oh. We got a collab cam. Normally it's when I'm speaking, but it's with Eric. Hopefully it's not internet issues today. Hold on. You got collab cam. Restart like 8 seconds ago.
The Blazers know that Donovan's going to be open in that middle. And so even if the other team's trying to foul, if they know they're going to use him as an outlet, and they have a design cut or a design play off of that action already set up, then it's impossible for the other team to get there in time, in my opinion, because Donovan's making such quick decisions. And I mean, yeah, he misses sometimes at the free throw line, but as tonight he showed he can still get some and ones too. So if he's scoring but missing the free throw, it's still a good play. And it also puts him in position to have a line drive at any offensive rebounds that come off. He's right in the paint there, ready to go get them. So I would really exploit that more at the end, especially when they're paying so much attention to our two main ball handlers. And some of this will clear up. You know, Drew, the last couple games he's played has made a difference, and to where teams can't do that, because then Drew can just drive to the basket, you know. You know, eventually when we get other guys back too, it's going to have to be like a pick your poison thing. But when we have these particular lineups, which we'll probably have 2 more times in the next 4 games, because we have 2 more back-to-backs coming up, we have to do a better job, I think, of moving the ball like they did at points of this game. Just don't abandon that when the crunch time hits and the other team's making a run.
Yeah, I'll also say even a 60% free throw shooter shooting 2 free throws it's not inefficient. It equates out to 120 offensive rating. Because you get 2 free throws, you make 60% of them, right? At least I think. Maybe my math's wrong. I think my math's wrong, actually.
What did you say?
I'm trying to do the math.
I was trying to follow you.
So if you have 2 free throws from a 60% free throw shooter, what's the points per possession there, right? Yeah, because you basically get 0.6 points per free throw. So you shoot 2 free throws, that'd be 1.2 points per possession. That's an offensive rating of 120. So yeah, it's not ideal to have a 60% free throw shooter at the line late in the game, because he's always capable of missing both. But yeah, I wouldn't shy away from it. I do agree with you. I do. And I've talked about this. I like the way that Klingon makes decisions and makes quick decisions, especially in the middle of the floor. And he's getting more and more comfortable. I still think he could do a better job of attacking the rim. I would love to see him learn how to Euro step or something like that. You know what I mean? Just like, I don't know.
Baby steps. He's learning how to dribble first.
Yeah. But like, I do think long term he will have the ability to just attack the rim out of these situations and finish, where we're just starting to scratch the surface of that. So I think putting him in that situation, I think he makes decent enough decisions for the Blazers to continue putting him in that position, and then hoping he continues to grow from it. But I want to talk a little bit about the defense, then we can jump into the players here. So I like the way they're playing team defense the past couple of games. I thought they made some really good rotations today when they were scrambling. Yeah, they sent to the ball a little bit here and there throughout this game. They did a good job. On DeRozan. They did a good job of rotating behind that out to shooters. Really nobody cooked him that shouldn't. DeRozan only had 14 points in 35 minutes. He was 6 for 11. He had 7 assists, so he was able to play make a little bit, but he was a team worst minus 14. You didn't let him kill you tonight. You know, if you were going to lose this game, it was going to be because Zach LaVine or DeRozan went off. LaVine, 18 points, 5 for 13 from the field. DeRozan, 14 points, 6 for 11 from the field. It was Russell Westbrook scoring 23, Malik Monk scoring 23. That was a little bit of the problem today, but normally you're not expecting Russell Westbrook to go 9 for 15 from the field and 3 for 6 from 3, even if you leave him somewhat open. I mean, we've seen that in a playoff series between the Blazers and OKC back in 2019, right? Like, he's been shooting a decent 3-ball this year. He's actually been a little bit more efficient than he normally is this season for the Kings. So shout out to Westbrook for maintaining a level of play that's keeping him in the league, because, you know, it took him a while to sign there this offseason, and he's been solid. So, but you didn't let DeRozan kill you. You didn't let LaVine kill you. I really liked some of the defensive moments that Tamani Kamara had today, where he kept the ball in front of him and then forced some tough jumpers and just did a good job of contesting without fouling. He had 3 fouls today in 36 minutes. That's a big improvement. But then also just, and Lamar Hurd was talking about this throughout the game, the back line of the defense, they were doing a really good job of just positioning. Sissoko was a guy that Lamar shouted out, but I think basically they did a good job defending on a string today. When they sent two to the ball, they rotated behind it and rotated out to the backside of those rotations. And as Lamar said, the back line of the defense, basically meaning the guys that are responsible for being in help side position on the weak side of the floor, we're doing a really good job of positioning themselves. Like, I just think this team is starting to kind of figure out how to play better team defense. They had so many miscues early on in the season where they'd miss rotations or recognize rotations late, and they still have some moments where it's a bit iffy, but I think it's a lot sharper. So I think that's also why their defense has improved. You know, I think part of it's not selling out for steals and not gambling as much as they were early in the season. And then I think a lot of it's just playing better team defense as a whole.
Yeah, and well, here's the thing: you're gonna miss rotations. You're gonna get exploited. Like teams are really good at passing the ball around sometimes, or at least some teams are. And you're gonna have plays where you just can't make like that fourth or fifth rotation, and you played it perfect up until that point. You just got to tip your cap to the other team for being patient and finding the open guy. But what I like about what the Blazers have done lately, and this is something that we've been screaming at them that hasn't made sense when in the past when you're trying to be like a scrappy defense or whatever. It doesn't matter if you miss a rotation or the other team makes a pass. It's how you react to it, right? If you stand around and watch the guy shoot, it's not going to turn out well most of the time. But I like what's happened lately. It just feels like even if they miss a rotation or something, someone is flying out there. They're hustling around. They're trying to get the next rotation. They're not giving up on plays, and they continue to try and get back to where they need to be. And that's not something that has occurred a lot in recent years, where the other team just had to make a couple passes and our defense completely breaks down. Now we see it to where they can kind of shift and at points get back to being a solid defense, even if the other team forces us into a few rotations. And that is huge in terms of being like, if you want to take that step to being an elite defense versus like one of the worst defenses in the league, like we were for several years.
Agreed. All right, I'm going to get a player of the game poll going here in a second. Also, I'm going to start a Q&A thread. And this Q&A thread is essentially like near the end of the stream. We'll try and rifle through and answer some of these questions if you guys leave them here. I know you guys ask questions throughout the game. Sometimes or throughout the stream. Sometimes I'll see them, but we're talking about something else, so they won't get answered. So if you want your question answered near the end of the stream, you can leave them in that Q&A section. We'll do our best to rifle through and answer some of your questions. And then for the player of the game poll, I mean, it's going to be Sharp, Denny, Klingon, Kamara. Kamara going 7 for 7, 17 points, 15 in the first half. I mean, playing really, really good defense throughout this game. I think deserves to be in this poll. But my player of the game, honestly, like I love the tone that Donovan Klingon set today. I love the tone that he set today. We'll talk about him in a second when we get to the box score and look at the stats and all that. But I do think all four of these guys did some good things today. With Sharp, you know, the scoring was solid. The playmaking, the 0 assists and 5 turnovers is a little rough, and he had a bad turnover late down the stretch. But he continues to score the ball for this team. So yeah, you guys are going to get some typing in your ears for a second.
And also, I mean, let's not do it to where we're like calling people names or like someone's stupid if they pick Donovan over Denny or Denny over Donovan. I both had good games. Let's celebrate that they both had good games.
Does
and
somebody
they both
do that?
could be played. No, it's just like usually it's like, why would you pick this person? He's, you know, like let's just recognize that both Denny and Donovan are deserving of the player of the game today, and pick which one you want to pick. Like, don't don't get on anyone for picking it, because there's no wrong answer there.
Yeah, I mean, picking a player of the game isn't a knock on somebody else. And I've always said, player of the game isn't even necessarily the player that played the best. I think today, Denny Avdia had the best all-around game, but some of it's, expectations. If Javonte Cook had 12 points today on 5 for 6 shooting and helped the Blazers win a game, I would probably vote him player of the game. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, Javonte Cook isn't doing that. But he did get a bucket today. Shout out to him. So, like, some of it's standard. Some of it's just, like, intangibles. And I like the tone that Klingon said. I like that he was going at it with Maxime Reynaud, who talked crap to him in a previous game. And Klingon had a stretch there where he started talking, and then he makes a 3, and then he gets an and 1. And I love when he plays with that attitude. So, let's take a look at that box score.
Yeah. Yeah, if we're going to start off talking about Donovan, I love that he only took 2 threes in this game with how he struggled recently. He took, 7 last night? So, and he makes his second one. It didn't seem like he was hovering around the 3-point line a lot today. He was more camped around the free throw line and then around the hoop. And I love that, man. I want him in there. Like I said earlier, I feel like this has been a major boost to the offense lately, is that those double teams are coming really high, almost to half court sometimes on Denny and Shaedon. And Shaedon in particular, without Denny lately, has been getting double teamed off the pick and rolls. And I just want to see them run that that action to the middle to Donovan every time that happens. Like, just continue to do it. And I feel like you can force some teams out of being able to play us like that if we continue to do it. And Donovan continues to get better and better at it, because like the learning potential growth there, he's already like really good at it, I think. And like, just imagine, 500 NBA possessions like in a couple of years into his short roll experience, like it's just going to get better, I think, as it goes along and he gets more comfortable in that role. And so I really want them to exploit that more, but I have to credit Donovan for, it would have been really easy for anyone who starts having success shooting threes to just become your thing is shooting threes. And I don't want necessarily someone to just be a 3-point shooter. It's good to have that in your arsenal, but as he's shown tonight, like he can do so much more on there, and I think he can be really effective getting the ball around the basket and in that short roll. And credit to him for being in the right spots when he needed to be tonight.
Yeah, just wait till he can play with Drew and Denny together again, because I think Klingon's. I think both of those guys, or at least Denny for sure. Denny's built a lot of chemistry with Klingon this season, and once again today did a great job setting him up. And the last game with Drew did a really good job setting him up. So I think the chemistry with some of these guys and finding Klingon on the interior has improved a lot, especially Drew, especially Denny. So with both of those guys back in the starting lineup with him, I think it's going to be fun to see how many good looks he gets around the rim. And he needs to continue playing around the rim because he's freaking 7'2", and he's finishing well this year. I've been impressed with a lot of the layups and finishes he's had. It's much better than last year. And then the free throw shooting, 8 for 8, terrific stuff from him today. Also a really good defensive rebounding game from him as well. 13 defensive boards. They got 10 offensive rebounds, but we've seen teams have 19. We've seen much worse, and he has 4 offensive rebounds. The Blazers have 11 as a team. Kings only have 10. I think he's doing a little bit better job at just corralling some of these defensive boards, and hopefully that continues to improve to the point where the Blazers are no longer one of the worst defensive rebounding teams in the league, because that's been one of their biggest Achilles heels so far this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Just great game from Donovan tonight. In the 37 minutes, like I mentioned,
got 3 days off now.
Yep.
3 days
Rest
off.
that big fella. But, man, to do that on the second night of a back-to-back, I forgot to look up how many minutes he played last night. Let me do that real quick.
I think it was like 27. It was less than 30.
Was it less than 30?
Yeah, because nobody played more than 30 except Caleb Love.
That's right. Yeah, 27. You're right. Yeah, 27 minutes last night, and then 37 tonight. Just really cool to see that. And dude, credit to him too for there were a couple times when I think Splitter was gonna sub him out because he thought he was tired, and Donovan was like, "No, I'm playing. Leave me in the game."
Yeah, like
so,
there's a play where he got hit and Splitter thought he was hurt, and then Klingon went down on the other end, made a play, and he had sent Young to the table, brought him back. He plays hard as hell. He plays with good energy. I like the edge and the attitude he brings to the floor. He's my favorite center in quite some time in a Blazer uniform. You know, he does all the things that I like that DeAndre Ayton didn't, that drove me crazy. You know, it's just a night and day difference, and I appreciate what Klingon brings. I appreciate those traits in a big man. And it drives me crazy when a big man has all the talent in the world, athleticism in the world, and doesn't have those winning traits. So shout out to Klingon. Avdia returns today, 30 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. Looks like he wasn't really on a minutes restriction. I mean, he played 32 minutes, and I guess if he never got hurt, he probably would have played 38 or something in this game. You know, the Blazers, before he got hurt, were playing him like 39 minutes a game. Maybe they've learned their lesson. Maybe they now realize that they should not play him that many minutes.
I do think they need to calm down his minutes a little bit, just for the time being. You know, max them out at like 34, 35 minutes. Like, I know sometimes you need him for longer, but try not to play him 38 to 40 minutes. Like, come on. Like, we need this guy healthy the rest of the year.
Yeah. 2 for 6 from 3, 8 for 12 inside the arc, gets the line 8 times, makes all the 8 of his free throws, so super efficient night from him. The passing, it's fun to have that back, man. Just the way he controls games is super fun. You know, it's we have a history of offensive struggles the past few years where there's nobody on the floor that can control things offensively. As a scorer and as a playmaker, and now we have this guy that is absolutely an all-star this year. If he doesn't make the game, I will protest, I will riot, I will be pissed off, I will rant on this channel. You know, he's so deserving of an all-star spot, and just fun to have him controlling the games. I will say, it feels like his turnovers come like in couples, you know? Like today he had 3 turnovers, but I believe 2 of them were back-to-back. I've kind of noticed that as a theme, and I don't know if that's when he's getting tired or why they come together, but it feels like he'll have a great game, and then there will be like a 1-minute stretch where he has 2 turnovers, and it's like, all right, he gets sloppy for a minute, and then he fixes it, and then he's fine. I do think that's kind of strange, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, to come back from the 3-game absence and play the way he did in that first quarter, man, he just had some beautiful moves to the basket, just using his body really well, just completely, like, I don't really know how to explain it, but he was like in the heads of the Kings defenders. Like, he knew how they were going to guard him or try to guard him, and he already had a counter for it before they even reacted to try and guard it. And some of those moves he had were just elite drives. And then to have those that behind the head pass to Donovan was sweet. Yeah. And also the step through pass in the second half to Donovan as well. Where he pump faked and then stepped through like an up and under almost, and then drops it off for Donovan. Man, those were some awesome plays. Denny, like I said, he didn't score a ton, only 10 points in the second half, including them giving him some stat padding free throws at the end there with a couple seconds left. But man, just especially in the first half, he was brilliant, and man, it just showed how good this team can be when he's a part of it.
Shane Sharp today, 27 points, 7 rebounds, 0 assists, 5 turnovers. 8 for 19 from the field, 3 for 9 from 3, 8 for 11 from the free throw line. Had 5 fouls. Kind of a mixed bag sort of stat line. So what were your thoughts on him today?
Yeah, obviously, he hasn't been in super foul trouble so far, but when you already have 2, he committed a dumb foul in the backcourt off a turnover. He got the ball knocked away on a pass and then fouled the guy trying to get it back. You can't do that when you already have 2 fouls in the first few minutes. So I thought that was going to maybe hurt him. Overall, he kind of hurt his efficiency, missing a few shots there in the fourth quarter. It's tough for me, Tori, because I like that he's trying to get to the rim and put pressure on the defense there at the end. Someday, hopefully, he'll figure out that when he does that, he is attracting so much attention, and there are those dump-off passes like we just talked about with Denny available to him. And so once he starts seeing that, or if he ever starts seeing that, I think it's going to change his game a lot. And then he'll also not be able to – he won't see as much attention on those drives too if he's passing off him. But I think teams know right now they'll take their chances that he's not going to pass in those situations and just go straight up. And, he still almost finished some of those. So, it's still – incredible. And tonight he actually gets to the line, so you got to give him credit for that. But yeah, it's just there's a little bit of stretch where he missed a bunch of shots and it ruined his efficiency. But other than those,
I did the math. He had a true shooting percentage of 56% today. The team had a true shooting percentage of 60%. So it wasn't like an inefficient night, but the offense as a whole was more efficient. And it's did he help that offense be more efficient through his playmaking or drawing defensive attention,
Well, I mean, like I said, there was a point until he missed his last few shots, but there was this point where he was shooting over 50% and had 20-some points. So it was efficient. He just those last 2 drives where he drove in, hung, and missed both of them kind of hurt. But because I mean. He takes one instead of 2 of those and makes it. He's shooting 50% from this game, and it's a lot different. But plus the efficiency from the free throw line. I thought he had one bad pull up 3. So did Caleb. We'll talk about, but there was one really deep 3 he pulled up, bringing the ball up when we were getting good shots on offense. Don't need to really take those kind of shots, but man, I thought other than being loose with the ball in the first half, that was and that turnover late, I thought he did a pretty good job of attacking, and you did see a bit of an adjustment at halftime. He was a little bit more decisive and strong with the ball on those double teams up top when he had it. So I mean, wasn't a great game from him, but I don't think it was terrible either.
Yeah, I don't really have a problem with much of the shot selection in this game. And I think there's some context that goes into how he needs to be a high volume scorer that works in his favor if we're going to discuss true shooting percentage, efficiency, and that sort of thing. From a scoring standpoint, tonight was a good game from him. The 0 assists and 5 turnovers is the rough thing there, man. I mean, some of the turnovers, I'm trying to go to NBA.com and watch them over. Yeah,
we had the one where he drove down the left side at the end.
He's just they're all pretty bad ball control turnovers. I mean, there was one he got trapped and tried to feed Klingon on the roll and it got tipped. I can live with that. He's trying to make the right play. He's just not executing it properly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I can live with. It's the stuff where all right, let me look at turnover. It's the one where he dribbles the ball off his foot and it rolls across the court out of bounds. There's just too much of that right now. That was his second turnover. His third turnover, he Wow. I don't even remember this play. Oh, they said he palmed it, which they never call.
No, sorry, you don't remember it because they didn't freaking show it. There was like 4 plays they didn't show on Blazer Broadcasting today. Dude, come on. Be better, Blazer Broadcasting.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
So bad. They missed, like, I mean, they're already known for missing a play or two every game, but like this game was particularly bad when it came to that. Jeez, man.
The fourth turnover he had, man, is exactly kind of what I'm talking about. Is the one where he crosses Dylan Cardwell and Zach LaVine is one pass away and digs at him and gets a piece of the ball and Sharp loses it. Like it's that defender one pass away. He for some reason has blinders on where he doesn't see that guy digging at the ball, and he turns over the ball a lot of times. It's like, one pass away was City Sissoko. Okay, I understand not wanting to maybe pass the ball to City Sissoko, but if you see that guy digging and you kick it to City Sissoko, it's a wide open 3 on an inside out pass. Like he shoots the 3 ball well enough that should be the play. And especially when there's better shooters, he'll still fail to make that pass. There's times where he puts the ball on the floor and starts driving and guys will dig at him one pass away and he just needs to quickly swing the ball and he tries to split them and loses the ball. And those are the types of turnovers that are very controllable and he could clean up for sure. And then the fifth one, I guess, was just a tough court awareness situation. Like he was dribbling. It was that one with 1:15 left, the one where he's dribbling up the ball, the left side of the court. And Westbrook snuck from behind. Somebody on the team has to yell at him. But also, if you're Shea in that situation, you're up 8 with 1:15 left, like, and they're pressuring, you kind of don't want to dribble up the sideline. Because if you have to pick up the ball for whatever reason, then you're going to get trapped and you're going to get stuck in a bad situation. You want to try and keep the ball to the middle of the floor as you're bringing it up against pressure. So, like, that's just a youth mistake. Like, that's just where he has to become a little bit smarter of a ball handler late in games where you don't want to get stuck on the sideline. The only reason Westbrook was able to sneak from behind was because he turned away essentially from the middle of the floor to dribble up the sideline. Westbrook was in the middle of the floor and stuck him from behind and tipped the ball. So that's just a kind of a nuanced thing in that sort of situation. You want to try and keep the ball to the middle of the floor, or you pass it up the sideline if possible, because then that player has their dribble. You know, they're in a better spot. They can dribble out of anything, or make a decision. So just some stuff to clean up. I mean, it's like this a lot of games with him where there's just turnovers that I think are avoidable from him. I'll live with the ones where he's trying to make the right pass, because that shows to me he's trying to make the right decision. But there's so many turnovers where he's not trying to pass and he turns it over. Those are the ones that get a little bit frustrating for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Part of that too is when you're driving, it's processing the floor. Like, so if there's guys swiping at the ball that aren't your primary defender, or you're getting double teamed, they have to come from one of your teammates. So like, you have to recognize where that person came from, and you have to kind of see that in front of you, or in some cases you have to like feel it coming from behind you. And so he's still young enough to where maybe he can improve that, but that is something that I don't know if it's not like a simple, let's get in the gym and work on this. Like it's kind of a feel thing and
a film study thing.
Yeah. Well. And maybe it's just an experience thing too. Like once you've been in that role for long enough, like then you start to recognize it a little more. It clicks at some point, but at some point, like he's just got to do a little better job of recognizing where that pressure is coming from and be like, oh, you want to help off of this guy one pass away, bam, 3-point shot, or bam, that guy cuts and we have an easy layup, or wow, the big's helping off to swipe at the ball. That's an easy lob immediately to Klingon. No matter where you think he is, just lob it up to the rim, because this guy is on you swiping at the ball. He has no chance of recovering. So eventually, hopefully Sharp figures that out. It's still a huge learning potential growth for him.
Yeah. Still, because I see a comment in chat. Youth mistake. Remember, he didn't really play college ball. Basically, came straight from high school. I mean, playing 40 games at Kentucky, I don't think is going to make much of a difference for a player who's like in year 4. I don't really think that's like an excuse that he didn't play college ball. I feel like year 1, maybe year 2, sure, like he didn't get that kind of in between stage of his development, but he's been in the NBA for 4 years. This is his 4th season, so yeah, I just don't like when we bring up, 5 years ago he didn't play those 40 games in college. Like, still practiced with the team a bit, and I don't think that's really that much of a difference maker.
Yeah, well, I will say, I mean, we're still judging him as like a point guard basically with this offense, and he's still not a point guard. He's still not that way. So like he does have he is behind the 8 ball in terms of like just being an NBA level ball handler all the time, like he's been having to do. So that's part of it. I think we're judging him based on him being that way or being like a stronger, bigger guy who can do that. And it's just I don't know if that's ever going to be the case with him, or he's more of a off ball player who can get that when he has opportunities. He doesn't mess those up, but like to count on him to be like our primary ball handler for half the game, I don't know if that's ever going to be his full role with a fully healthy team.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be, right? He's a scorer. It's just the avoidable turnovers are the ones he needs to clean up. The one where there's somebody 7 feet off a guy digging at his drive, like he just needs to make the simple play. I'm not expecting him to be a high field playmaker, a 6 assists per game guy or anything. But like if you're getting pressed as a ball handler, try and keep the ball to the middle of the floor. Don't get yourself stuck on the sideline where somebody can run from behind, poke the ball, or if you pick up your dribble, you're trapped. And just some of the like lost ball turnovers. I expect him not to dribble the ball off his foot. You know what I mean? Like there's I think a difference between kind of where he's at now and him being a high-level playmaker and him being somebody that just, like, cleans up some of these little mistakes that he makes. So, would definitely be a welcome sight. I focus on this every single game with him. He could have a game where he has 35, 38 points, efficient. I'll sit here and talk about how, that's an efficient scoring night from him. I really love the way he scored the ball today. But if he also has 7 assists if he also has 7 turnovers and only 2 assists, and out of the 7 turnovers, he's dribbling the ball off his foot 3 times, and like 2 of them is just him trying to go 1-on-3. Like, yeah, I'm also going to talk about the turnovers and how he can maybe clean those up as well, because there's good and bad from in every game, and there's a pretty clear pattern where this guy is such a capable scorer. But almost every night there's a couple turnovers that are stuff that he can, I believe, clean up. So, Kamara, 17 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 7 for 7 from the field, 1 for 1 from the 3-point line. Man, it was nice for Tamani just to have a perfect shooting game. 2 for 2 from the free throw line as well. Like, he literally did not miss a single shot today. I liked some of his drives. This was maybe his best driving off the dribble game of the season.
Yeah, I mean, he was finishing, got to the line early in this game. First play, I think, made both free throws. And, I liked how much he was actively cutting in this game, at least in the first half. And there was a play, I forget. No, it had to have been in the first half because we were going to that side. But he caught the ball up top and did his little jab step. And I thought for sure he was going to shoot a bad 3 that he hasn't been hitting off of that situation when he's not open and doesn't create any space. But he made the right play there, didn't shoot it. So I felt like he was really under control this game. Now you might want him to do a little more in the second half in terms of scoring, but fortunately for the Blazers, they pull out the victory.
Yep. Sissoko points, 2 for 7 from the field, 1 for 4 from the 3-point line. Kind of a forgettable game from him. I mean, I don't know. We're talking about a two-way guy with no expectations coming into the year, and now it's like, 8 points, 2 for 7, like wasn't efficient. Like we're nitpicking him as a starter. And nitpicking probably isn't the right word. Like, obviously he's kind of raised the expectation for his level of play beyond where it was at the start of the season. And today he didn't really meet the expectation, so to say, because he just didn't really make shots. But it's a fine game.
Yeah, I mean, he had some defensive plays, tried to pack it a couple times, got to the line.
I love the aggressiveness. Yeah, I do love the aggressiveness.
Man, that one, though, he gets fouled. He only makes one of the 2 free throws. But he had Rivera standing there wide open. All he has to do is dump it off. And Rivera has an easy bucket. I know you probably think you can dunk and poster someone, but yeah, I thought he was okay on defense. Short of, he had a really stupid foul where he just like shoved someone setting a screen and then complained about it afterwards. I didn't really like that one, but he had that one steal off the outlet pass, which led to one of those dunk opportunities. But I do think he was pretty solid on defense, but offensively, yeah, still a work in progress. Outside of that, he had that one nice drive where he like kind of, I think it was Sabonis, he took it right at him and then slid past him for a lay-in. Kind of a Denny-esque move, which was nice. But yeah, not too great of a game from him overall offensively, but he's still making some plays to contribute.
Before we get to the bench, let me read off some of the Q&A questions that we had. William VU says, trade Drew, too many guards with Dame, Scoot, and Caleb. Feel like we got to pick between one of Drew and Scoot. I've said this before. I don't think you should decide to trade any of the guards because of Caleb Love. I think if he's the best third-string guard in the league next year, that's completely fine as a fifth guard. I still don't necessarily trust his efficiency fully. He had a really good 14-game stretch, and it's funny because he has a really good 14-game stretch, and I guess we'll save the Caleb Love conversation for he's the first guy we're going to talk about with the bench. But basically, I don't know. Like, if you get a trade that makes sense for Drew, sure, but I would worry about the backcourt defense with Dame and Sharp together. I do think Drew complements Dame pretty well. And obviously with Scoot and Dame, that's a pretty small backcourt. So if you trade Drew, I mean, you're starting Sharp with Dame, but defensively, is that good enough? It kind of reminds me of the bad defensive backcourts that the Blazers used to have with like Dame and CJ, and then Dame and Anthony.
I mean, we can get into this more later if we talk trades, but I do feel like part of me believes when Dame came back, it was with the expectations to play with someone like Drew, someone who he's wanted to play with for a long time, kind of a defensive-minded guard who can also handle and take some of the pressure off of him. And then, Jeremy's still around too. I don't know. I find it hard to believe that will be the route they take, is to like keep Dame but go young around him still. I don't know, man. We'll see. But one thing, I mean, we need Scoot back at some point to see how he plays and how he fits in, and hopefully at some point in the near future we'll have the opportunity to see all of them play together outside of Dame and just have a season or the rest of the season where we get some of those answers on the court. Now, Scoot's going to be behind the 8 ball there. It's going to be tough for him to come in after sitting out most of the season and
there's a lot of people that won't give him a chance to knock off the rust.
Of course, yeah. So,
it's gonna be annoying.
So I could definitely see it playing out where, it doesn't go well coming in the last couple months of the season for Scoot. and other players are still playing well, and then they just make the decision to move on from him. I'm not saying that will be the case, but I could see that path. But overall, I mean, you have Dame coming off an Achilles injury. We've already seen Drew at his age miss a bunch of time, and now won't probably play back-to-backs the rest of the season. So I think I think the Blazers do need some depth at guard next year. And yeah, it's probably a little overkill if they're all playing in the same game. You probably will have some players unhappy with their role or their minutes in those situations. But I think overall, having that depth throughout the season with 2 plus 35-year-old guards in the mix, I think you're going to have that, especially considering the guards we do have that are younger haven't proven to be healthy a lot either. So I think it'll all work out just based on that, just having needing multiple guards there. And Shea can move up to the 3 a little bit, and you can play some smaller lineups. Having Donovan and Denny and Tamani as your front court does allow you to play smaller at times as well. So I don't know, man. I think I wouldn't be surprised if the Blazers moved on from one of their younger guards, but I'd also feel like they might just keep their guard rotation for next year, considering injuries and age.
I think trading Scoot is the dumbest thing this team can do right now. I think trading Scoot because you're worried about having too many guards when you can't stay healthy regardless. I mean, we had no point guards for half the season. I think it's a dumb time to trade Scoot because his value is going to be next to nothing. He's been out the entire year, and he took a step forward last year, but it's not enough to give him a ton of value after being out for the entire season so far this year. I had people talking to me about, like, God, trade Scoot. He's going to get a gigantic extension. I don't think that's going to happen either unless he plays his way into it. And if he plays his way into it, it's better for Portland if he plays his way into a big extension by playing really, really well for Portland than it is to trade him now when he has next to no value and then him play his way into it somewhere else where you got pennies back on the dollar for a guy like that. I think some of the narrative, some of the conversations regarding Scoot are freaking insane right now. You know, everybody loves the way Caleb Love's playing, but I did one of these polls yesterday where I asked people to compare 2 different stat lines, and it was literally December 23rd to January 18th or 19th from this season from Caleb Love playing 14 games and last season from Scoot Henderson playing 14 games. 95% of people said Scoot had the better stat line, right? And obviously stat line isn't everything, but I did that poll as kind of a point because people are prisoner of the moment with a guy like Caleb Love. He has a good 14-game stretch, and all of a sudden it's, oh man, got to move Scoot, got to trade Scoot, got to sell low on Scoot, got to give him away for next to nothing. Caleb Love's better. We have too many guards. Blah, blah, blah. Scoot Henderson, the same time last year, had a better 14-game stretch. And Scoot Henderson right now he's like 2 years, 3 months younger than Caleb Love. Or maybe it's 2.5 years, something like that. He's multiple years younger than Caleb Love. He works hard. He's obviously going to, I think, improve. Where does that improvement leads, I don't know. But I just think people forget the step that Scoot took last year. And now that Caleb Love has a good 14-game stretch, you got the guards around the corner, people are too quick to move off from Scoot. Now, if he can't stay healthy, that's another thing. But, like, okay, if he's on our team and can't stay healthy, that's why you have a Caleb Love. That's why you have so many guards. Like, it's not necessarily a bad thing in terms of trying to win games. It might not be the best thing for Scoot in terms of his development. There's a chance that he might want to be somewhere else for his development. And then if that's the case, all right, then you figure out what the best move forward is. But I don't think having 5 guards that are capable of playing is going to be a bad thing next year. This team never stays healthy.
Yeah, and then if they are healthy, that's when you can start incorporating some of the stuff they were doing earlier in the season where they're playing at a quicker pace and players need to come in and out more. You played guys like Dame and Drew shorter stints, which I think would be better for their longevity. And I think you have that problem. But let's also be clear about something. Caleb Love is going to be happy to get his contract like Dwop was and stuff like that, like Trenton Watford. So it, of course, like, yeah, if he's playing better than someone above him, then you need to find a way to give him some minutes. But this isn't going to be the case of like, oh, we have to give Love minutes or we're going to lose him for nothing or something like that, or he's going to walk. Like we're going to have him, assuming we sign him to an actual contract, we're going to have him on a deal where it's going to be very team friendly with team options and stuff like that for multiple years. So like, we don't have to make that decision. We can have all of them and not have to play all of them major minutes, especially someone who will be coming off his rookie year next year. I don't see it being a problem right now.
There's a question in chat. What kind of value do you think you could get from him when he is healthy? He could be valuable to the Portland Trailblazers if he's healthy. Like, I don't understand why people are operating like the Blazers absolutely have to trade him. I don't really understand that at all. Like, Dame's 36, Drew's 36, Scoot's 21. Like, I don't understand the people that want to panic trade him while he's injured. If he gets back and he's healthy and he plays well, like, all right, then what's his trade value? Have him as your point guard of the future, man. Like, he's going to be a very solid starting point guard, in my opinion. He had moments last year where he looked like that, and I think he was going to be better this year, just like he was better last year than he was his rookie year. So I think some people just struggle being patient and are prisoners of the moment, and that's the struggle in having these conversations with people. I don't think it's really particularly reasonable. So yeah, like, but also it's the expectations thing as well. Scoot had super high expectations, so people are going to be more disappointed than the guy that had no expectations on a two-way. And everything you get is like, oh wow, this two-way guy's actually doing some nice things for us compared to Scoot. It's like, he doesn't look generational. So a lot of it's just kind of the framing of it, because there's a comment in chat saying he's undersized and hasn't really developed how he thought. Well, you have to readjust your expectations. Doesn't look like a generational player. I agree, but that shouldn't sway you completely the other way, where it's like, we just give him away for free because he's injured, because Caleb Love had a good 14-game stretch. You know, it's too overreactionary. Anyway, how many guys is averaging 22 points in a game in the NBA? Stop. Sharp is fine. He will be a star. I mean, Anthony Simons averaged 22 points in a game, and we heard the same things, that he was going to be a star. And he's a really good bench player. He could start in some places, but he doesn't. There's a lot of guys that can average 22 points per game and not be a star. Jordan Poole could do the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, I think Sharp's better than Jordan Poole, but it's 2026. There's a ton of guys that can average 22 points per game. That was just a random question in chat. A next question: should Denny dye his hair red? No. Don't switch up anything this season. He's playing too well.
Yeah, agreed.
Aaron the Man says, from the NBA's money restrictions when it comes to contracts, can the Blazers make a decent offer to extend Avdia? And if so, when does this offer need to happen? If he starts making all NBA teams, then it could be a 35% supermax. Now, we'll have to see what the finances look like 3-4 years from now, but I think it kind of lines up with Jeremy and Drew's contracts coming off the books. So, but you'll have a clean extension at some point. You'll have maybe a Scoot extension or some other money on the books. So it's kind of hard to say, but the Blazers definitely need to prepare themselves to pay Denny a max.
Yeah, absolutely. With how low his contract is, I don't believe his extension prior to him, the year we can offer the Supermax, is anywhere close to that. So, or anywhere close to even a regular max. So I think it would be wise for Denny to just wait and not sign an extension anytime soon. But we're still 2.5 years away from needing to make that decision or having that become an issue. So, and like you said, a lot of other money is cleared up by then, so we won't have any big contracts on the books. We know we signed both Tamani and Shaden Sharp to reasonable, 20 million, around 20 million annual average salaries, and so those are pretty reasonable considering the new salary cap and the jump. It'll take a couple of years until the need to pay Denny, but man, I don't think it's a problem worth worrying about now. He'll get his money if he deserves it when it happens, and the Blazers will obviously need to pay him if he's all-star, all NBA level player, and definitely, I don't think with signing those other guys to pretty reasonable contracts, and I mean, let's face it, like Scoot's not going to get a max either, so whatever we sign him to, we're talking about a core that's getting locked up, so you can pay one guy and you could still have enough money to trade for one other like star max player and still be fine salary cap wise, I believe. Plus, we also don't know if the new ownership will be willing to spend or how that'll all work with the luxury tax and stuff like that, tax aprons. But as of right now, I think we're in pretty good shape in terms of when that year comes up when Denny's got to be paid.
Yeah. Blazers for Life asked, do you guys think Klingon has potential to make an all-star in the future? Absolutely. Jared Allen made an all-star game, and I think Klingon will be at that level at least. So I think he might be the type of guy that needs to be on a really good team, but I do think he can make an all-star game in the future. Like, I think he can become I think he can be like a 17 point, 12 to 13 boards per game type of guy, 2.5 blocks, like 4 assists. Like, I think for a big man on a winning team, those are good enough numbers to make an all-star game. I think he has potential to do that. I think, obviously, they would need to tap into his playmaking a little bit more, and he would need to become a higher volume shooter. But, I mean, per 36 right now, he's 15 points per game. So, if he plays 30 to 32 minutes a game and raises volume a little bit and, passes a little bit more, is utilized a little bit more as a playmaker, like I could see him averaging those numbers and being an all-star one day.
Yeah, he's always going to have a tough time being an all-star just because he's not going to ever score like 30 or 40 points in a game, or like consistently average over 20 or anything like that. So it's always tougher for those type of players who do all the other things well to get that. But if you have him making all defensive teams eventually, and he's averaging, let's say, like 15 and 13 or something with those assists, like you said, and a block or two a game, and the Blazers have like an elite defense and are in the playoff picture, I definitely think it gets some consideration. But I do think like the Jared Allen, Rudy Gobert types, usually when they make all-star teams, it's because their team is, one of the top teams in their conference. So that is going to be relevant in terms of whether he makes it or not. I don't know if he'll ever make one or not, but he definitely has some moments where I'd put him up against almost any center in the NBA outside of like the top handful of ones.
Yep. Who's been the second best player this year? Asks ERA. Shea has received more criticism than DC, Drew, or JG, but realistically, isn't it him? I would probably put Shea. I would put Shea or DC. I think Drew and JG haven't played enough. The thing is like the Shea criticism is regarding like specific aspects of his game. It's not like necessarily his overall game. So it's two completely different conversations. I do think DC belongs in the conversation just because of all the little things he does for this team. Like if you're talking about impact upon winning games, I think you can make a case for Donovan Klingon. But I mean, Shea's the guy who's averaging 22 points per game, right? So it's a lot easier to say him.
Yeah.
Tristan asked if the Blazers do nothing at the deadline, what would be the targets in free agency, considering Thibault, Rob Will, Wesley, Rupert, and Duop would all be free agents, so a lot of roster spots to fill. I mean, we've barely talked about trade deadline. I can't even begin to speak on free agency yet without even knowing what the roster looks like after the trade deadline. And then Zombie says, came late, wasn't sure if this was discussed. How do you feel about Tiago going to Klingon as a main facilitator, especially out of the double teams? Klingon seems to thrive every game, getting better. Yeah, we kind of been talking about that, but I think they could feature him a lot more, and the results would be good. For sure. So thank you for the questions in the Q&A. Caleb Love, what were your thoughts today?
I thought he came in, made some good plays initially. I thought in the second half he tried to do a little too much. Like I said earlier, 1-on-1. Took some college type shots, which we've been praising him for not taking as many of lately. But I mean, didn't shoot the ball well, but I didn't think he was like was super negative out there either. I thought he was fine. But obviously, with how well he shot the ball, he was due for a poor shooting game. And his streak comes to an end of 2 threes in 15 straight games. But I mean, that was
he didn't make a single one. Not only was it breaking the 2-3 streak, it was breaking the 3 streak.
I mean, that was one of the highest streaks in the NBA for 2 threes in that time. So, like, I mean, it had to come to end some point. But, yeah, I don't know. He didn't have the greatest game today, but I don't think it was, like, anything he did awful or cost us the game, obviously, with a win. But yeah, he was fine.
Yeah. Something just came up. This is the final point I'm going to make on the Scoot thing. I think the reason why a lot of people are like so quick to say trade him is because they are completely unrealistic about what he would return in a trade. Like, we just had a trade Scoot for Trey Murphy. The Pelicans aren't doing that. If you think the Pelicans are going to might trade Trey Murphy for Scoot, I understand banging the drum like we should trade Scoot. Maybe we could get Trey Murphy. They're not going to trade Trey Murphy for him. Like, you're not going to get anywhere near that much back for Scoot Henderson. I think that's where a lot of the disconnect is coming in. So
it's also important to know. I mean, who knows? Joe Dumars is an idiot, seemingly, but they do have. So it was David Griffin that was obsessed with Scoot at the draft. We apparently refused to take their call while on the clock. So we'll never know what they would have been willing to offer to get Scoot once he was available. But that ship has probably sailed with them drafting Fears and having all new management there now. So, yeah.
So I think we gotta chill. All right. So, is there anything if you want to speak on Repair and Wreath, I'll be back to talk about Young. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. I don't really have anything to say on Repair or Wreath, so I don't know if you can stall for 2 minutes and say 2 minutes worth of stuff regarding those two guys. I think it might be a pretty difficult challenge, but I kind of want to see. I kind of want to see if you can do it. So.
Yeah. Well, I will say for the person who keeps saying, like, Scoot's about to turn 22 in February, and Young Hansen is not 19. For the people who keep saying he's 19 in chat, he's 20. Hi, Nathan. Repair. Man, I don't really remember much from Repair in this game. He did have that stretch where he drove twice in a row, and ends up 2 for 4, a couple of rebounds and assist. Nice to see him not have a turnover. Our bench outside of Young only had 1 turnover with the other 4 players, so pretty good job of taking care of the ball off the bench tonight. Repair, this wasn't. I mean, I've been saying this for a while. Like, if he does some good things out there, great. But it is a case where, as long as he's not messing up and you can survive some of his minutes, I think it's fine. And he did well. So tonight he was a -7. I don't think that necessarily reflects on him playing poorly or whatever. But I thought he was okay tonight. Duop, He had a couple of good plays on defense, a nice offensive rebound, his only rebound. But ultimately, we need him to knock down some threes. Misses both of those tonight. But I mean, once again, minus 11. So if you just look at that, it doesn't seem like he played particularly well. But he's also playing as a power forward next to Young a lot. So how much of it is that? And then he's not just playing center by himself with no other bigs very often. So I think he was fine. I mean, hopefully we get to a point where we don't have to play some of these guys. But tonight, I don't think they did anything to like cost us the game, which is all we can ask for, right? Works Joe says, I'm glad Repair had a good game the other night, but the fact doesn't change that he doesn't have it. We are half a year away from the draft tonight, so just as close to being 20. Yeah, I mean, he turns 20 on, I think I share a birthday with Dylan Hansen. So yeah, he's about 5.5 months or a little over 5 months away from turning 21. Yeah, that's right. Repair did technically have a turnover that wasn't called the double dribble. I mean, the ref said it was knocked out of his hands. It's kind of hard to see with the camera angle, so maybe it was, but the King certainly didn't think so on that one. I think we got to try to package Williams and Thibault. A couple of first and take another swing on a Denny player like Denny. Okay, so who would you say is that? I mean, we during the off season we haven't done a lot of trade talk during the season, but during the off season we tried to like figure out who that player was, and we were having trouble coming up with those guys. So I like let's hear some names. Thanks a lot, Works Joe. Yeah, I'm actually 46, so I don't think I look too bad for being 46. Not that I'm good looking or anything, but definitely not 20. Chapel says Pelicans need to let Trey Murphy go. Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, though, I mean, there's been conflicting reports. One said that they're not going to trade anyone now, and the other one said that they're asking for 3 first-round picks for Trey Murphy or that level player, plus like young players and stuff. So I don't know. They're probably going to be unrealistic, but Trey Murphy's still young enough to be like, he's still young enough to be part of their rebuild. Like I don't think they necessarily have to move him. Yeah. Tristan says, don't trade Robbo unless you're signing a backup or trading for one. Yeah, that's so the problem with Robbo is if you don't trade him, how do you go into next year with him as your backup if you can't rely on him to be healthy? And then also, what are you paying for him? Also, would he potentially just leave and sign with another team and screw us over if we go that route? So if the Blazers need to figure out by February 5th what the plan is with Robert Williams. If they're going to just hope he's healthy and be the backup center and Young develops eventually to take over that role, if he gets hurt or whatever, then they need to be super confident in their number, like talking to his agent about where his contract's going to be and feel pretty comfortable that they're going to re-sign him this offseason. If not, I think you have to move him by the trade deadline. You have to get some value now that he's played a little bit this season, shown that he's still a competent player. I mean, if he gets hurt one more time and is out with that knee, like his value is screwed. So it's already pretty screwed compared to what it could have potentially been. But I think if you do not know what's going to happen to him or his role after the season, I think you have to move on for him. And then I think behind shooting, you obviously need shooters, but going into next year, outside of needing shooting, I think that is the biggest question mark for these Portland Trailblazers is who is going to be your backup center next year. And so either it's going to be Rob if you can work out a contract. If not, you got to start working on that now. Like try to figure out a plan for now. Trade for that guy now if you can, like a Dayron Sharp or something like that. That Torrey's talked about in the past. And if you can't do that, you better have some free agents that you're comfortable in signing this offseason. But yeah, if you trade him this year, you kind of got to figure it out quick because Young is not ready to do it. We know Dwap's not really capable of doing it either. So we definitely need a plan for getting him getting this team a backup center if it's not going to be Rob Williams moving forward. Do I think Nurk would take a minimum to come back and play with Dame again? Oh, here's the problem. Okay, even if he would, that's like this offseason. So maybe this offseason. But as of right now, the Blazers have no open roster spots to even sign Caleb Love and Sidi Sissoko, which they're going to lose eligibility for in about 10 games or so to even play them in games. So they have to figure out their roster situation. So short of trading a bunch of other into the bench guys, they're not even going to have a spot to sign a center if they trade Rob Wells. So they have to figure out who that's going to be. And I don't know, Utah might buy him out as a favor. He's been, pretty good teammate for them. And I don't know if Joe Cronin is interested in re-signing him. I don't know if Nurk is interested in coming back. I don't know if him and or kind of, I don't know. Like at the end, it did seem like Dame, not like personally, but just basketball court wise, I did feel like Dame was getting a little frustrated with Nurk that last season. But I don't know, man. I don't know if that means you couldn't come back and be our backup. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I mean they could trade for Nurk, I guess, with this contract if they like 3-team trade or something, but I don't know, man. And so we talked about this last stream that the Blazers are in a position where they're not going to be able to sign anyone on the buyout market unless they clear a bunch of roster spots at the trade deadline. So they're going to have to make some 2 or 3 for 1 trades, maybe even multiple ones, just to even have a chance to sign someone off the buyout market. I just don't know if that's going to be their plan right now. And as we talked about in previous streams, yes, it's funny talking about CJ coming back and all that stuff, but we just talked about how they already have, 5 capable guards or whatever going into next season. Unless they trade multiple ones of those, I seriously doubt they're going to keep CJ or go for CJ, even if he just does not fit at all what they're looking for, what they're trying to accomplish. So I really don't see them going after CJ. Chesney says, Nurkic, are we just going to bring back Batum and CJ too? I mean, why not just give up completely? I mean, Nurkic has been pretty good this year as a backup center. If you're not relying on him more than 15 minutes a game, Klingon's shown that he's clearly the the best center here and is a long-term starting center in this league. So I feel like whoever they can get for cheap will be fine as long as they're somewhat competent, man. But the other ones, I mean, Batum's Batum's pushing. I mean, he's really old. I don't know if I don't think a reunion's going to happen there. But and I like I said, I don't think CJ is there. But I mean, we do need a backup center if we move on from Rob Wells. So Nurkic is a free agent and is just as capable as a lot of other players. So yeah. Mo Arkless had some injury problems after he was traded and never really was healthy. Marv says, just sucks there were so many serviceable centers available in last year's draft, and we didn't take any of them. Yeah, Tori misspoke earlier. He said they started an undrafted rookie. They actually started Maxime Renault tonight, who was drafted, and both Tori and I really liked his game in college. Would have been a pretty good backup center, but Wendell Carter Jr. I mean, I think he's too good. I think I don't know. Like you'd have to give up a lot to get Wendell Carter Jr. and I think that's the type of player that's. I mean, he's going to need more minutes than he would get as the backup center. So Marco would love Watford back. I mean, having Watford on the end of the bench might be fine. He's not a center though. So if we're talking about getting a center back, that's not really a good option. But that would be like a very minimal thing. That's not going to help us win a championship or take the next step or whatever.
For some reason, I was thinking they started Cardwell, not Reno. Even though I had it on the graphic next to me that I made.
Yeah.
But Reno also not really a real protector type, at least not yet. Okay. What'd I miss?
That was way more than 2 minutes. There was no way I was talking about repair and Dwap for that time.
I wanted to encourage you and then see how long you could talk about those two for.
I mean, I did for a minute. So
yeah, it was a challenge. Just to finish it up, Young, just a turnover machine. Just a turnover machine. The illegal screen, the travel, like, it's just kind of... The illegal screen, you know what? I don't even hate that turnover because I like the play. It's like, if they call it, all right, it's turnover. If they don't call it, you got to lay it. So sometimes there's turnovers where it's like worth the risk because if it works out, it's a bucket. So it's kind of like to be like shooting a shot, you know? There's maybe a 50% chance you might miss a shot, 50% chance you make it. If you commit a turnover with a 50% chance that it results in a shot, in a layup or something like that, you know, the odds are kind of worth it. So like a Gortat screen on the move that sometimes they'll let go. Like, okay, I like the idea. Just got to try and find a way to not commit the foul there. But the 3-point shot's just he's just not a shooter. He's just straight up not a shooter. The misses are just all over the place. He plays 9 minutes, has 2 points. The little hook shot was nice. I kind of feel like he could have went to it earlier and needed like multiple pivots to get it off, even though I don't think he needed those pivots. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. It's almost like he's trying to be too fancy with his moves or something. But
the layup he got blocked on was like, dude, if you can't get that off, we're in trouble.
The thing is, my guy has to stop complaining about every foul, dude. Like, you're obviously getting a whistle, and you're getting fouled. Like, stop being so surprised you're being called for every foul. At this point, you should be used to it. You hold the guy and move to clear him out of the way. I forgot who it was, but like you said, it was a good play. You just can't hold him the way you wrap your arm around him and move him like he did. Just set a screen. You're big enough to just screen, and it's fine. Just stand there. There was a time when he drops both arms down, completely hacks a guy, and then stands there like he was straight up the whole time and complains to the ref about the foul. It's like, dude, you hacked the crap out of him. It was a foul. Like,
you know what it gives off to me? It gives off to me like I'm trying to act like I belong. A veteran would complain about this call, so I need to complain about this call. That's what it feels like to me. Yeah. Yeah. Where he's like, it kind of has no idea what he's doing out there, but gets called for a foul. Like, oh, I need to complain. That's what we do, you know?
Yeah. So Colonel Pancake says Denny complains a lot too. Yes, I agree. Denny complains way too much as well. But Denny is also our best player. Like, he deserves to. Like,
and also the plays he complains about are like somewhat subjective. When it's like obvious fouls that you're complaining about, it's just kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, and then he grabs the ball, pulls his feet, and takes like 3 steps before he starts dribbling, and then he's like, "What? Like, so surprised, like, what? Why? How could you call that? Like, dude, you traveled. Like,
I mean, but in his mind, he probably had no idea what his feet did, so he didn't think he traveled. You know,
true.
that's the problem.
Maybe in the CBA that's not traveling or something. I don't know.
Maybe not. I don't know. I don't want to watch a league with looser traveling rules than the NBA. Javonte Cook plays 7 minutes, has 2 points. He had a bucket on Sabonis in transition. He attacked Sabonis. Literally anybody can attack Sabonis. And then missed 3 threes. I don't know why he shot 3 threes in 7 minutes. Like,
dude, 2 of those threes were terrible shots too. Like, dude, come in and know your role. This is exactly what we talked about with Caleb Love earlier in the season and some of those guys who just come in and start chucking shots. It's like, dude, like, even if you make that shot, it's not a good shot in the offense. It's not like the shot clock was running down and you had to let it fly. Like, do not come in and shoot a shot like you're a freaking G League scorer. Like, I don't know, man. That was – he's lucky he made that a couple of good plays on defense. He had that nice double team of Sabonis to knock the ball away, and he had that nice finish on Sabonis on the other end. He's lucky he had those 2 plays because I was like getting really frustrated with him shooting those threes, man.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, that's all the players. Denny wins player of the game poll, 50% of the vote. Klingon had 41%. Klingon was leading it for a little bit, and then it was neck and neck, and then Denny pulls away. I think Klingon was leading it because I said he was my player of the game at the start of the stream, so people that were listening at the start were maybe agreeing with me. Let's talk trade deadline. Let's do things this way. We know what the Blazers need. They need shooting. They just straight up need 3-point shooting. Okay. But
if they trade Rob Will, they also need a backup center.
Yeah. Like, the Rob Will thing, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to trade him. And if they trade him, like, who are they going to get to replace him? Nick Richards, you know? Like, it's not going to be a flashy name. So I don't think the conversation about who the backup center is going to be is going to be, like, a conversation that we have a whole lot. Like, if they trade Robert Williams, yeah, they'll need some targets to replace him. But, I mean, there's like 15 different names you could toss out there for backup centers that they could bring in and trade a second-round pick for to replace them, you know? So it's kind of hard to maybe narrow 1 or 2 down. Like, the guy I like is Day'Ron Sharpe if possible. If you can get him as the backup center to replace Rob Will, I'd really, really like that. But outside of him, there's really no names that jump out. And if Rob Will doesn't have any value, then you don't have to trade him. Like, you know, and let him walk in free agency. Trading him for nothing is not going to make a difference. So I think that kind of the bigger conversation is, what does the rotation look like if everybody's healthy, except Dame, of course, near the end of the season, right? You have the starting lineup of Drew, Sharp, Kamara, Denny, Klingon, and then let's say you have 9-man rotation, right? One of them is whoever's the backup center is. One of them is Jeremy Grant. One of them is a backup guard. I think that's Scoot, or if Scoot just doesn't play at all this season, who knows? Then maybe that's Caleb Love, right? And then you have a 9th spot that's kind of like a fringe rotation spot. And maybe you could have Scoot and Caleb Love both play minutes. Caleb Love's like that 9th guy. But I think that 9th guy, and maybe they're not playing the 9th most minutes, like maybe the backup center's playing the 9th most minutes, but like the 9th in the playoffs, you're looking at an 8 to 9 man rotation. I think that 9th guy needs to be a shooter. I know some people want that guy to be Thibault. I know some people want that guy to be freaking Blake Wesley, right? But I think in the best case scenario, you have a rotation with that starting 5. You have Scoot, Grant, a backup center off the bench, and then you have a wing that can really shoot it.
Yeah. I agree. So who is that wing?
So I think the names, there's 3 guys in Atlanta that all could apply. It's Luke Kennard, Corey Kispert, Vic Krejci. I prefer Krejci.
2 of them match Thibault's contract.
Yeah. I would probably, in terms of like, I'd probably go Krejci, Kennard, Kispert, just because of Kispert's contract. Kispert can be traded. They just can't combine his salary to match something they're
got to be a 1-for-1 deal.
Yeah, or it can be a 2-for-2 if like he matches one of the players and then the other player they're trading matches the other player. They just can't combine his salary to make a trade work. They can't aggregate is what it's called. But yeah, I think like Kennard or Krejci are the most likely guys, and both are like snipers, absolute snipers.
Yeah, so I think with his contract situation and the fact that he's playing the biggest role for Atlanta would be the toughest to get or the most expensive to get out of those 3. I think they just traded for Kispert and kind of valued him in that trade. So I think Kennard would be the most likely. I'm wondering if like a Thibault for Kennard type trade would work for both teams.
Yeah, it's just like, do you trust lineups with Sharp and Kennard at the 2 and the 3?
I mean, you could play them kind of opposite each other too, maybe, but.
Well, I just think whoever you bring into this role is a shooter that can hopefully play the 3, and I don't know if I like Kennard at the 3. Because you'd have, your 3-guard lineup, and maybe you insert a 4th guy for spot minutes there, but like that shooter off the bench, it's ideal if he can play the 3 adequately and not be a turnstile on defense.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my worry with Kennard, is like if he's the 3, or if you're playing him next to Sharp and Sharp's the 3, like the defense becomes super questionable, and you're a bit
let's face
undersized.
it, all 3 of those guys, you'd have that issue.
Yeah, but I do like that Vit is 6'8".
Yeah, but he's still turnstile, so.
Yeah. But would you rather have a 6'8" turnstile or a 6'5" turnstile if they're playing the 3? You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I don't think it matters, but.
I think it matters a little bit. I don't know. But like, you just figure out ways to scheme around it. I mean, Duncan Robinson's playing in Detroit, and they're a really good defense, and he's playing a bunch of minutes. You know what I mean? Like, you should be able to figure it out. The thing is Sharp just needs to continue to develop on that end so that it's not him being a problem. Also, in this year, honestly, like, he's been better defensively. I don't know where I want to say he's at. Like, I don't know if I want to say, like, he's solid or if he's still a little bit below average. Because he makes some plays, but that's not even close to being everything defensively. There's some times where he has some slow rotations and stuff. There's some times he gets a little lost. On the ball, he's been a little bit more competitive. I don't know. Like, his defense obviously is not great, but I don't know if it's, like, average yet.
It's improved towards average, I'll say that.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So, I don't know if you want, like... I think between the point guard, shooting guard, and small forward position, you need 2 of those positions to be average or better defensively. I'm hopeful that Scoot, when he returns, can be somewhat average, but that might be asking too much as well. So if you have Scoot or Caleb Love with Sharp, and then a guy like Kennard, and you're starting to be a little bit questionable defensively. But that's kind of the problem. Normally, you're not looking for a 3-point sniper for defense. You're looking for 3-point shooting and floor spacing. So is there any targets that are maybe worse 3-point shooters, but still like very high caliber 3-point shooters? Like you can put them in the corner, and if they get the threes that Chris Murray's getting, they'll make defenses pay for giving those up while also being solid defensively.
Well, I mean, I don't know if this is who you're asking for, but because he's a little smaller, but team we played tonight didn't play in this game. Why did I just blank
Don't say
on his
Keegan
name?
Murray.
No,
you're not gonna say Keegan Murray.
what's the guy's name? Why am I blanking on his name, Tori?
Devin Carter?
Our trade target from the Kings. That they're saying it might be a first round pick to get.
Oh, Keon Ellis.
Keon Ellis, yeah.
Yeah, he's
Sorry.
Yeah.
He's more of a 2-guard too, but he competes his butt off on defense, would fit really well in our style or scheme on defense, and is a lights out shooter. So he's by far thank you, chat. He's by far the best player that fits that shooter plus wouldn't have to sacrifice any defense to me. Now he's also probably the guy you have to give up the most to go and get with how much it seems teams want him. But I keep coming back to there's been points where he barely plays for Sacramento. So why is it taking so much? Why are they being so opposed to trading him if they're expecting to get so much back for him? Why doesn't he play more then? So I don't know, man.
Yeah. He is shooting 35.7% from 3 this year. He's definitely not the same caliber of shooters as Kennard or Krejci.
Just 2 weeks ago, it was 42%. So
he's 41% for his career. He's 41% from his career. So he was 43% last year, 41.7% the year before. So I think he's a slight step below Krejci and Kennard, who are the top tier of 3-point specialists in the league. Kennard shooting 46% and Krejci's shooting 43%, right? I think the next tier is where you find a guy like Keon Ellis. And maybe Kispert's even a tier below that. Kispert's 38% from 3 this year. Kispert might be the tier below. Which I'm fine going for I'm actually fine going for a shooter of Kispert's caliber, 38%er, considering they're probably going to get really good looks in the corner from 3. And, I would trust Kispert to knock down nearly 40% of those. You know what I mean? He'll get high-quality looks from there. If they can be solid defensively and play the 3, I think that's maybe, kind of the perfect type of target. So I'm trying to think of, names. Chat, you can toss out names out there. If somebody solid defensively, can swing up to the 3, can knock down, 37 to 38% of their threes at least. Yeah.
Well, he's more of a 4, but people are mentioning Rui for shooting.
I mean, you can play Rui. The thing is Denny and Grant can play the 3. You can consider them 3s if you want. You can slide those guys down. So it can be a 4 as well. Rui would be awesome. He's shooting 43% from 3 this year. He shot 41% last year, 42% the year before. If he's available in any sort of trade, this is where you start to think about Rob Williams trades.
Well, see, yeah, I was thinking, okay, let's just say the Lakers have kind of soured on him.
Well, I think they would sour on a combination of him with all the other questionable defensive pieces they have.
Yeah, but so last night, outside of there was a play, I forgot what happened, but he came up in the second half in a play, and I was like, man, I don't remember a single thing he did the first 3 quarters of his game. Was he even playing?
Yeah.
And then you look and he did absolutely nothing in that game. And so maybe, I mean, I want to say he's shooting well from 3 this year, right? 44% or something, right?
43.3%. He's been
Yeah.
above 41% the last 3 years.
So, I mean, and we don't need him to do much. So like, if we went to the Lakers and we're like Rob Will and Thibault for Rui, I mean, I think they would have include another contract, yeah, or maybe you get Connect.
I mean, yeah, I'd love to take a flyer on Connect. You know, I was one of the biggest Connect fans, but
Connect and Rui for Thibault and Rob Will, and
does that work financially for them? They
I
probably
think
have to throw in FIBA.
It's pretty close, I think.
No, because Rui's making like 13 mil, and Connect's making like 5.
Rui is?
Or no, is Rui making 18 mil?
I thought it was 17 or 18.
Making 18
yeah.
mil. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd throw a couple seconds into that package.
Because, you know, even if the Lakers wanted, like, the rumor is they're trying to still maximize cap space in coming years, so that doesn't mess with their cap space at all. And plus, they could justify that as getting a couple of, like, solid players that they need. They need a wing defensive player. They lost Dorian Finney-Smith, and they also need they need some center depth behind Ayton. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, if you could find a way to replace Rob Will with somebody that can stay healthy. Like, my dream deadline is then you go to the Nets and somehow get Day'Ron Sharpe.
Yeah.
You know? But, like, I don't know if he's particularly realistic. Who's, like, a realistic center replacement? Honestly, you know what? Maybe the Nets would be interested in Connect for Sharpe. Maybe Connect in a couple seconds for Sharpe. You know, they have all these playmakers that kind of could use a shooter, an off-ball threat like him.
I mean, it depends, I guess, if they trade Michael Porter Jr. or not, because I don't see both of them existing very well. But
like, they have Claxton at the center spot. Like, Wolf is kind of a tweener at the 4 and 5. You know, if you could flip Connect and take back Day'Ron Sharpe, and you're trading Thibault and Rob Williams for Rui and Day'Ron Sharpe, and now we have 2 Sharpes. That'd be a fun trade. But, like, yeah, I like the idea of getting Rui. I like the idea of this trade if you can replace Robert Williams' production at that backup center spot. Because then you put Rui in the corners, and I feel like he's a really good corner 3-point shooter. Let me look. Shooting corner threes. He's shooting 46.7% of his attempts from the corner three. He's shooting 44.6% on those. Last year he shot 42.5. The year before he shot 44.3. So instead of having Chris Murray shooting like 25% from corner threes, and Kamara, you know, we talked about how he's struggled on corner threes this year. Imagine having somebody making almost half their corner threes in this offense with these playmakers. That like, he's not a good defender, but like, he's big enough and he's not a complete turnstile. You know, he's below average, but not awful. And he's 6'8". Like, you can hide him. You can slide Grant down to the 3, Denny down to the 3. Like, you can have them guard the best forward. You're not put in a box defensively in terms of your matchups if you have a guy like Rui off the bench.
Kirk says Grant and Rui, same player off the bench, might never grab a rebound, but okay. Okay, but like, Rui's not, we don't need him to be anything more than a spot-up shooter.
Yeah. Rui averages 5 rebounds per game for his career. Like,
it's not great, but
yeah. But I mean, how many rebounds is Thibault getting you? You know, like, you're basically putting Rui into the Thibault role. Into the, well, not the, obviously the roles will be completely different, but you're putting him into Thibault's minutes. And Thibault's a guy for his career. Thibault doesn't rebound. Like, Rui's a better rebounder than Thibault. Thibault in 20 minutes per game for his career gets 2 rebounds. Rui in 28 minutes per game for his career gets 4.8 rebounds. So, yeah. Rui also, Rui's played with Denny. That's a great point, Marco. Rui's played with Denny before in Washington.
Yeah, so I don't think Denny's like or not Denny, Rui's an answer like long term or anything. But I'm just trying to figure out like a guy who is a really capable 3-point shooter
Yeah.
that potentially is not in the best situation or could easily be had maybe for the guys we could do without giving up like any of our future firsts or anything like that.
And I'd love to have a Gonzaga guy on this team.
Yeah.
But like I won't I've always said no to Domantas Sabonis. I'm not just going to campaign for a Gonzaga guy just because it's a Gonzaga guy. I think Rui would be a great fit here. But I would also love it because he's a Gonzaga guy. And also we're trying to corner the Asian TV markets. So we have China. Why not add Japan while we're at it? So yeah,
Why not indeed?
I haven't really thought about Rui, but I thought about him when we were talking about trading Grant, that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
the conversation is different than it was a couple years ago because like Rui has established himself as a really, really good shooter consistently at the NBA level and a great corner shooter. I just the attention that Denny draws, and I mean, I would look to re-sign Rui and have him as a bench piece on this team. You're gonna have Dame next year. Like you have all these creators. Rui's a free agent after the season, so no trade needed. It's the type of thing though where like wherever he is, if he does get traded elsewhere, like he's more likely to re-sign with where he gets traded. And you would want him for this year, like you'd want to see what it looks like this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's fine too. Like you clear up that situation we've been in where you're like pushing the tax line all the time, and you get some space in between there, and you have some maneuverability with the new trade rules to bring in a super lopsided trade without going into the tax. I don't think it's like the biggest deal if he walks, as long as you have a plan to because you're not giving up. Other than backup center, you're not giving up any rotation players right now. So you just got to figure out the backup center like we already talked about.
And then if Rui walks for some reason or his price tag gets too high, if you also got Connect in the trade, you would hope that Connect could be that like fringe ninth man rotation guy and fill some of that shooting need. I know he struggled this year, but I just think he needs to get out of LA. They traded him and then the trade got rescinded and he's never been the same since. Like, and with how much they struggle defensively, they can't really afford to play somebody like Connect, who's not a particularly good defensive player. So he needs a new situation. So his value's super low, and I still like him as a shooter, and he's also like a solid athlete, like playing off the ball. Some of these cuts and stuff that this team makes, I could see Connect making him an impact as a cutter as well. He's like a little bit more athletic than guys like Kennard, Kretschke, Kispert. So, like if you also get Connect in the deal, that's a home run. I'm taking that to the bank, and then you figure out the backup center spot. Like if Nurkic gets spot out and you sign him to be your backup center for spot minutes, playing 18 minutes a night, great. Like maybe you play Denny a few minutes as a small ball five. We saw that a little bit earlier in the season. Haven't really been able to go to that with all the perimeter guys that have been out, but if it's a guy like Nick Richards who's just like okay, not going to wow you in any areas, but can finish at the rim and rebound. It's kind of what you're looking for.
I saw some people earlier mentioning Royce O'Neal as a shooter option. I find it hard to believe the Suns would trade someone right now with how well they're playing too, unless it's like for a massive upgrade, but not the type of players we're trading.
I mean, he's a 39% for his career. He's shooting 41.6% this year. I didn't realize he was shooting so well. This is actually the first season of his NBA career he's averaging double-digit in points. He's having a really good season for Phoenix, but he's started 37 of the 42 games he's played, and they've won a lot of games. So I agree. I don't think they would move him.
And it probably wouldn't be cheap if they did.
Are you guys buying on Thiago Splitter? Do we need to hire a new coach? He's not. He's going to be the coach the rest of the season. I think in terms of do we need to hire a new coach, we can have that conversation once we see more from this team and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, a decision that does not need to be made for a while.
Yep. We'll continue this conversation trade-wise next stream in terms of like backup centers, but I'd really like the Rui idea. We can see if there's other targets. Always feel free to suggest trades in the comment section or the live chat. Let's take a quick look at the standings here. Let me pull this down. All right. So, the Blazers are 2.5 games behind the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors' upcoming games, they've been winning a lot of freaking games, just like the Blazers have been winning a lot of games. Look at this stretch that the Warriors are on. It's much like the stretch that we're on, so unfortunately we're not really making any ground. They've won 5 out of 6. Whoops. I did not want to click that. I wanted to go to schedule. So, their upcoming games, they play the Heat tomorrow, the Raptors on Tuesday. The Raptors didn't help us out tonight. They lost to the Lakers. Hopefully they can help us out on Tuesday. But then Thursday, basically before the Blazers tip off for their next game, the Warriors will have played 3 games. So the Blazers are currently 2.5 games behind them. We'll see if the Blazers are like 2 or 3 games behind them. Hopefully not 4, because if the Warriors win all 3, then they'd be 4 behind them. Let's go back to the standings here. So, 4 games behind Phoenix, 4.5 behind LA. Hopefully Phoenix can lose at some point. That'd be cool. They started 1-4. I forgot that. Yeah, they started 1-4 and then won a lot of games. Their upcoming schedule, they got Brooklyn, Philadelphia. Winnable games, winnable road games. They're on a 6-game Eastern Conference trip right now. And then in terms of the teams behind Portland, they are 2.5 games up on the Grizzlies. They are 2.5 games up on the Clippers, who have won 5 in a row and still aren't in play-in position yet. Any thoughts on the standings right now, Eric?
I was really happy that the Blazers won 2 out of 3 without Denny. I think that's going to be huge at the end of the season when we look back, assuming we get relatively healthy at some point. And then to win tonight with sitting so many guys on the second night of a back-to-back, even though it was the Kings. The Blazers are just doing what they need to do right now. It's cool to see them still just fighting in that race and working their way back up to 500 after getting, what was the most we're below 500 this year?
I believe 7 games.
7 games? Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, we were 12 and 19.
Yeah. So that's pretty impressive that they did that. And also the success they've had, 6-2 now on second nights of back-to-backs. That's really good for a team like the Blazers that have had so many injuries as well. So, just happy that they're still sticking around. Yes, it would be nice, like you said, to have some of these other teams around us fall off so we could move up the standings a little bit with this streak. But had we not had this win, this success in 2026 so far, I mean, we'd be looking at probably 12th by now. So the fact that they're sticking around in that 9th seed is pretty impressive in my opinion.
Yeah, they've really turned things around since this really brutal stretch. Yeah, this stretch where from after November 5th until December 14th, we only won 4 games. Yeah, so it's cool to see a lot of wins on the schedule, man. I'm getting used to this winning thing. Hopefully it doesn't let up anytime soon. Next game should have Denny, Drew, and Grant Do you think for these two back-to-backs, do you think they're still going to do the Grant and Drew only play one of the two games?
I wouldn't be surprised if they mixed it up a little bit. But considering we had 3 days off after this one, I'd be shocked if they didn't continue to just sit both of them, or at least in one of the games. I don't know if they'll split them up or not, but I'm pretty certain they're going to use this as a strategy with those guys for the time being, to only play him in one of the back-to-back. I know you disagree with that.
I could see that being the case for Drew and maybe Grant. They let off the leash a little bit earlier just because Grant's a little younger.
Maybe, but with the Achilles, I don't know. Maybe they just don't want to risk anything.
Yeah,
He's
is he fine or is he not fully fine? I don't know. Like, at what point?
I mean, you say that, but
well, how do you determine? Here's my question: how do you determine he's good to play with Achilles tendonitis if he's not 100%? Like, is he 80%? Like,
so
I don't know.
It's irrelevant because in today's sports, particularly the NBA with the back-to-backs, it's just certain medical staffs have deemed it risky or to play certain players with certain injuries or with recent certain injuries, even if they're recovered, in back-to-backs. They feel like it's a cautionary thing to make sure they don't get re-injured or have other injuries. So I just think the Blazers medical staff in particular, and it's not just a Blazer thing, it's a bunch of other teams do this too. I just think it's a thing moving forward to where if you have a player, especially if on their north side of 30 and they have an injury history or are coming back from a major injury, I think it's just common practice now for some medical staffs to not risk them playing in back-to-backs. It doesn't matter if they're 100% or 90% or whatever.
Yeah, well, it's just so ambiguous in terms of like when they don't need to be precautionary anymore. Because you could say here a month and a half from now and say we just don't need to be precautionary.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Drew, I could definitely see it just being a rest of the season type of thing, or maybe even rest of career. With Jeremy, I don't know, but I want to say after the All-Star break or shortly after the All-Star break, it's been like 4 or 5 years since he's played a game. Yeah, like March and April.
Who?
Jeremy. So
yeah.
I know some of that has been tanking on the Blazers in Detroit, but yeah, I'd be surprised if at least this next one they don't sit both of them one of the two games. And it did say injury management on the injury report. It's just, like it or not, that's just commonplace now in the NBA, I think.
Yeah. I'm just looking forward to the game where we have Drew and Jeremy and Denny, where we can have, our starting lineup of Drew, Sharp, Kamara, Denny, Klingon, and then have Robert Williams and Jeremy Grant off the bench with, I don't know who the 8th and 9th guys are, but I guess Caleb Love and City Sissoko as your 8th and 9th guys there in that equation. Like, it's going to be fun, it's going to be fun. But also imagine we just start playing worse with a healthy lineup like that. That would invite some speculation. But we'll see. Like, I'm expecting them, once they're healthy, to just kind of keep this thing rolling, but they were losing games when they were healthier earlier in the season. So it's like if they figure some things out now, that will translate now that they get some guys back or what, I don't know. But yeah, I feel like Denny's gonna be fine, especially with 3 more days off, with it just being like a back. It was seemed like a little muscle strain back thing. Like, I think he'll be fine to play the back-to-back. Now, will they let him? I don't know, but
he did have it wrapped on the bench.
Yeah, just keeping it warm. I mean, that's probably just a precautionary thing, but he has 3 more days off. Like, he only missed 6 days. So he plays today and then has 3 more days off. Like, hopefully he should be good to go for that back-to-back, and then you stagger Drew and Jeremy if you're just going to play them 1 out of the 2 games. But the goal should absolutely be to win both these games. Like, especially if you stagger Drew and Jeremy, you have one of them for each game, and you have Denny for both games. I think they'll be favored in both games. With how well they've been playing, the expectation should be we're going to win both these games. We're going to be sitting here at 24-22, right? Like, start building games above 500. Like, let's go win 45 games this year. Thing is, it might still only be good enough for the 9th seed, but you know, you got to give yourself a chance. So you got to win these next 4 games coming up. I'll be a little disappointed if they don't win at least 3 of them. It's kind of crazy how the expectations have risen, you know. But you got Washington, right? Like, you should win that game. Then you got back-to-back home games against the Heat and the Raptors. If you lose one of those games, hopefully you could beat the Celtics on the road. You beat the Celtics at home, you know. Like, yeah, that's my expectation, 3-1. And we're sitting here at 25-23. Hopefully that pans out that way. Because we're good playing on second nights of back-to-backs. I kind of like this. You got some days off in between, and then some back-to-backs where we've played really well on the second night of back-to-backs. Like, we're young. Got fresh legs when we're not injured all the time. So, yeah. And then make it to the trade deadline, see what happens. But I will say one final thought on the trade deadline, man. Like, if nothing happens because every team's waiting for Giannis and he doesn't get traded at the trade deadline, I'm going to be a little annoyed. Like, I want some stuff to happen, and if it's just, like, waiting on Giannis, we're also a team that will kind of be waiting on whatever the hell happens with Giannis. And if they wait until the offseason to part ways, it's just like, why are you wasting your time? You know? Because obviously, even if we don't trade for him, like, I want to see what happens from a Giannis trade to see what those picks are looking like starting in 2028.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, shouts to Sleeper for sponsoring the stream. We have the NFC and AFC championship games set, so we'll have those next weekend. We have basketball, college basketball. Tuesday and Wednesday are pretty big college basketball days, so with the Blazers not playing again until Thursday, if you want to watch some college ball, put together a little parlay, put together some picks on Sleeper. You get that free $20 entry as always with that no deposit required if you use the promo code Uprise. And then 100% deposit match up to $100 if you do want to deposit. But my suggestion, take the free parlay. It's a free entry. Pick some players you want to scout, put them down, have some fun maybe rooting for them to hit certain stats, and scout them. And let me know what you think, because we're going to start talking about prospects soon. So shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring the stream. Anything else, Eric?
No, thanks everyone for watching. Appreciate you all, especially those that stuck around for both nights or watch the video later both nights. It's always cool to spend 2 nights in a row with you guys. And hope you all have a great 3 days off, and hope to see you back on Thursday.
Yep. Looking forward to seeing you guys on Thursday. Might stream picks against the spread tomorrow. If not, we'll do it in the Discord. We'll see. But if you have the day off tomorrow, enjoy it. And we'll be back at the latest on Thursday for the postgame after the Blazers take on the Heat. Nice to get a good win in Sacramento.
I got to say, too, so, yeah, anytime there's breaking news or a trade or something, now that we're in the home stretch for the trade deadline, we'll try to go live as soon as possible. Depending on what time of day it is, it might be a while, but we'll definitely go live at some point as soon as we can, right?
Yep. Brendan, actually, yeah, I think it is on Tuesday, so never mind. Yeah, picks against the spread will be on Tuesday. That's right, because all the games are start early or at random times tomorrow. So, we'll have picks on Tuesday. We won't stream it, so we'll be live again with that Thursday postgame show. Blazers get a win in Sacramento. They finally get back to 500. They get Avdia back. He continues to look like a freaking star, man. NBA All-Star starters are announced tomorrow. I'm not expecting him to be one of them, but wouldn't it be pretty cool if he was one of them? Even though the starting lineups don't matter because they're splitting them into 3 teams, not 2.
So stupid.
Yeah, I guess it's still a honor to be a All-Star starter. But, yeah, we'll be back again on Thursday. Have a good rest of your Sunday night. Blazers win. We're out of here. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers!